Excerpt from Remember Who You Are, a tiny paragraph from p. 47, then p. 48 to 49. Link in the video description and maybe more. Reindeer Miskamaqua was also of the Reindeer dynasty. He was the grand uncle of J.B. Bodino. The Reindeer band had control of Warroad on Muskeg Bay where Reindeer's sister Mishekians was born. His mother Clara Quaywitt, grandfather was Fond du Lac band chief, Dingbab also Shingoop of the Reindeer clan. Her father the famed last leader of the Reindeer dynasty Mamungazid Mamung Isada. Dingbab was also called Chagoon. He was the son of Chief Naikad of the Waziro Bujig dynasty when the Reindeer band dominated the Great Lakes. Wabojig, the great warrior of the Ojibwe Wars, was the uncle of Reindeer Miskamaqua. Mamoni Sada, or Bigfoot, was the chief of Pigeon River, of the Reindeer clan, which was its own band. The Reindeer clan, led by Mamungazid, joined the French in helping to defeat the British in Quebec. It was a result of the Great Peace of the Dakotas War when Snow Mountain Wapusha and Mamungazid waged war and found peace with an environment that allowed Reindeer Miskamaqua and Mishekians to exist. All of the chiefs from White Earth to Sandy Lake to Fond du Lac to the Pembina were one family, a Reindeer dynasty, one forging relationships among the Dakota and the other among the Ojibwe. A brief notice may not be considered amiss in this place of the chief Mamung Isada, who acted in this important affair as the representative of his tribe. His father was a member of the Reindeer clan and belonged to the northern division of the tribe. He moved from Grand Portage on the north shore of Lake Superior when a young man to the main village of his tribe at Sha'au-Mekong, becoming noted as an active and successful hunter, and having distinguished himself at the Battle of Point Prescott, where the Ojibways destroyed so many of their enemies, he married a woman of the La Point village, who had been the wife of a Dakota chief of distinction during the late term of peace which the French traders had brought about. The renewal of the war had obliged her to separate from her Dakota husband and two sons whom she had borne him, one of whom afterwards became a celebrated chief, whose name, Wabasha, has descended down in Dakota and Ojibwe traditions to the present times. Mamung Isada Big Feet was the offspring of his mother's second marriage with the young hunter of the Reindeer clan. He became noted as he grew up to be a man for the fearless manner in which he hunted on the best hunting grounds of the Dakotas, on the lower waters of the Chippewa River, and an incident worthy of note is related as having happened to him during the course of one of his usual fall hunts. His camp on this occasion consisted of several lodges of his own immediate relatives. They had approached near the borders of the Dakota country, in the Midland district lying between the Mississippi and Lake Superior, when, one morning, his camp was fired on by a party of Dakota warriors. At the second volley, one of his men being wounded, Mamung Isada, grasping his gun, sallied out, and pronouncing his name loudly in the Dakota tongue, he asked if Wabasha, his brother, was among the assailants. The firing ceased immediately, and after a short pause of silence, a tall figure ornamented with a war dress, his head covered with eagle plumes, stepped forward from the ranks of the Dakotas and presented his hand. It proved to be his half-brother Wabasha, and inviting him and his warriors into his lodge, Mamung Isada entertained them in the style of a chief. This chieftain was noted also for the frequency of his visits to Montreal and Quebec, and the great love he bore to the French people, whose cause he warmly espoused against the British. He was at last recognized as a chief, and received a medal and flag at the hands of French. He actively aided them in their wars with Great Britain, and on one occasion he took a message from Gen Montcalm to the Lake Superior Ojibways, asking them to come to his aid in Canada. But a small party followed the chieftain on his return to join the French general, in whose ranks he fought at the taking of Quebec in 1759. After the failure of the Indian opposition to the British arms in 1764, Mamung Isada, through the attentions he received at the hands of Sir William Johnson, became a fast friend to the English.
After his death he was succeeded by his son Wabojig in his war chieftainship, who became much more noted in Ojibwe history than even his father. From the battles of leading a national council of the Ojibwe nation, to the Great War and peace among the Dakotas, to defending the Ojibwe nation from the Iroquois, to surviving assimilation and broken treaties of the Old Crossing Treaty, the Macumber Agreement, the Indian Reorganization Act, the boarding school, and the battle for reparations, the Reindeer Dudum remains the foundation of the Ojibwe story.